Welcome back to This McCrazy Wife. Today's video was inspired by my recent birthday cookie trip to Crumbl. I had their Christmas M&M cookie and it was everything my cookie-loving heart had dreamed of. I came home from Crumbl determined to find a dupe recipe. Went online and tried the first recipe that looked promising, and I will link that recipe in the description box below. This one starts with your basic cookie dough ingredients along with a good heaping helping of Christmas M&Ms. I started out with 1.5 cups of salted butter softened to room temperature, 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, and 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Cream these together until they are light and fluffy. Take a minute to scrape down the bowl just to make sure everything gets fully mixed together. This took about 2 to 3 minutes. And that looks perfect. Next, we're going to add in 2 eggs, which I like to crack into a separate bowl because I will inevitably drop a shell in, and that's exactly what I did here. I got to go on a treasure hunt to find it in the mixing bowl since I didn't actually see it until I poured the eggs into the dough, of course. But now it's time to add in some pure vanilla extract. I do measure vanilla. This was 1.5 tablespoons. Vanilla is expensive, and if you get the good stuff, you really don't need to add a bunch to make it good. We're going to mix the dough again until it's light and creamy. Take a minute, scrape the bowl down. Even with this scraping beater bar, it still needs a good scrape to get everything off the bottom. Now we're adding in the dry ingredients. 4.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I use the pink Himalayan salt, so that's why you're going to notice that my salt is pink. I like to give the dry ingredients a little pre-mix before I carefully start the mixer up again. And when I do start it, I do a quick on-off pulse just to get it all starting to mix before I turn it on fully, just so it doesn't end up all over my kitchen. Now, this is the part after this is mixed that you would actually add in chocolate chips according to the recipe, but I wanted to do M&Ms because that was, of course, the cookie that I had. So I am going to give this a good scrape down again, and then I am going to add in 2 cups of Christmas M&Ms. I like to get these giant containers at Sam's Club because they are way cheaper than buying the little bags in the store, and I use a lot of M&Ms at Christmas time, so this ends up being perfect. After I add in the 2 cups of M&Ms, I'm going to pulse the mixer again instead of folding these in by hand. I find if I'm careful, it does not break the M&Ms. So I'm going to give a quick stir to make sure everything is well mixed. This was a very stiff dough, and I was pretty confident I was going to break my scraper. Next, we need to scoop the dough out in 1/2 cup portions. I used a measuring cup to start with, and it was fine, but I ended up switching to my 3 tablespoon cookie scoop and just putting 2 scoops together. That was just way quicker. You roll the dough into balls, and then the directions said to break the ball in half and squish the 2 halves together, leaving the rough edges up. And that took me a few times to figure out what that was talking about, and also I had to resist the urge to make them neat and smooth and just leave it craggy on top. I finally decided I just wanted them to taste like Crumbl. I didn't care if they looked perfect or not. So I just went ahead, moved on with my life, and they were delicious anyways. But I did add more M&Ms to the top because I wanted them to look festive. I put these into a 375-degree oven and I started them baking at 12 minutes, turned the pans or rotated the pans and gave them another 2 minutes just to make sure they baked evenly. But just look how delicious. They are so thick and plump and absolutely perfect. You have got to try making these. I enjoyed mine with a hot drink. It was a super snowy, cold day, the day that I made these. And these warm cookies right out of the oven, along with a hot drink, were just, it was perfection. I did get 14 extremely generously sized cookies, so I wrapped most of them in plastic wrap after they had cooled completely, and then I put them into a Ziploc bag and popped them in the freezer. Whenever we want a cookie, we can just take it out of the freezer, let it thaw in the plastic wrap, and then just pop it in the microwave for 20 to 25 seconds just to get that just out of the oven warm perfection. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching This McCrazy Wife, and Merry Christmas.